80% of the New York City apartments for sale are actually co-ops, even though condos are preferred by most buyers these days. You should consider buying into a co-op if you're going to be living in the city for 4, 5, or 6 years. Condos are a little bit more liquid, easier to get into, easier to get out of, but co-ops offer some advantages over condos. There is less turnover in a building, which makes it more stable, which a lot of people like. There is also a little bit more control as to who your neighbors are. And of course, the prices are cheaper as well, anywhere from 5 to 25% cheaper than a condominium. Also, if you're buying for investment, it's better to go for a condominium because in co-ops, there are restrictions on how long you can rent the apartment out. And in some cases, you can never rent the apartment out. But for most co-ops, you can rent it out after you've lived in the building for at least 2 years. The process of purchasing a co-op is also a little bit different in that once you have signed your contract, there's another step. Of course, you have to get your loan if you're financing, but then there's the third step, which is you have to pass a co-op board interview. That extra level of scrutiny is something that co-ops demand because they do have the leverage to determine who's going to be in the building and who's not. And a lot of times it's not just your finances, it's about your social circle, it's about what you're involved in terms of the community. When you buy in a co-op in New York City, you are buying into a corporation, as opposed to a condo when you own your condo, you're responsible for the common elements, but you have some arm's length distance between you and the other owners. In a co-op, you are all kind of in it together. There's also certain restrictions on when you can do work in a co-op. In some co-ops, you're only allowed to work between, call it 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. Some are a little bit more wider in terms of the hours that you can work. And in some co-ops, especially on 5th Avenue, Park Avenue, and Central Park West, they have summer work hours. Summer work hours dictate that only 1 or 2 units in the whole building can do work during the summer. So that means that if you want to renovate your kitchen or your apartment and there's 2 or 3 people ahead of you in the queue, you may have to wait a year or 2 to do the work that you want to do. So if you're going to be in New York City for 4, 5, 6, 7 years, if it's going to be your home for a long time, you should consider buying a co-op. The carrying charges are lower per month. You're going to get more space for the same amount of money. And once you get past the co-op interview, actually you'll find that living in a co-op is very similar to living in a condominium.